Hey kids, Flexing Teacher Weber here. Hopefully you had a good weekend. We've been working on solving equations in math. I had you do an assignment called ML385 where we were doing multi-step equations. Hopefully you had a chance to correct that. We're going to do more of that today, but just add on equations that have division in them. So I gave you 4 examples in your notes. Hopefully you read those. I'm going to do 2 videos today and go over each of those examples. So the first, I'm going to flip my screen here. The first example you have in your notes is x divided by 2 minus 2 equals 5. And remember, you always do the reverse order of operations to solve these. You always start with the plus or the minus that's beside the variable. The variable is x, and there's a minus 2 beside that. So you always do the opposite of that. The opposite of minus 2 is plus 2. Look where I put that. Make sure you put the plus sign there to show you're adding. And then I do the same thing on the other side of the equal sign, plus 2. Now let's see what's left. We still have our x divided by 2, but minus 2 plus 2 goes away. And I have my equal sign, and I have 7. Okay, now this is x divided by 2 equals 7. And remember, you don't have to do this, but remember, if there's nothing in front of the x, there's a 1 there. That also means 1 over 2 equals 7. 1x over 2 equals 7, or a half x equals 7. It's all the same thing. Now, since this is division, x divided by 2, you do the opposite to solve it. The opposite of divide by 2 is to times by 2, and it's really important I do that beside the variable, and I use parentheses to show multiplication. If I use parentheses or multiplication on that side of the equal sign, I have to do multiply by 2 there. Let's see what's left. 2 on top of a fraction, 2 on the bottom cancel, and I'm left with 1x equals 7 times 2 is 14. And you can leave it like that, or that's also x equals 14. It's the same thing. Okay, number 2, I just want to show you, has a negative sign in front of the x. So we can think of that as negative 1x. We'll have to deal with that at the end. But we start off doing our add subtract first. Beside the x is a minus 6. The opposite of minus 6 is plus 6. And I do that to both sides of the equal sign. Let's see what's left. I still have my negative 1x over 12, but the minus 6 plus 6 goes away. They cancel off, and I have equals 10. 4 plus 6 is 10. Now I do my division. Divide by 12. Well, the opposite of divide by 12 is multiply by 12. Do that beside the variable and use parentheses. Do the same thing to the other side. Let's see what's left. 12 divided by 12 goes away, and I'm left with negative 1x equals 120. Okay. Not done yet, because I don't want to know the value of negative x, I want to know the value of positive x. So it's negative 1 multiplied by x. The opposite of multiply by negative 1 is to divide by negative 1. And I do the same thing to the other side. Divide by negative 1. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 is positive 1x equals negative 120. And I can also think of that as just x equals negative 120. Those are the first 2 examples from the notes. I'm going to do another video that show the last 2. Flexing Teacher Weber, out.